All right, and I believe that we are live. I just want to double check the audio. Looks like it had the wrong mic, so that should be a little bit better. All right, so thanks so much for coming out, everybody. Hopefully traffic isn't too bad, and hopefully that you're able to listen to me and not necessarily be watching. But thanks so much for being here, everyone. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit because I've been really struggling personally with okay, great, thanks. So I've really been struggling personally with what to do about this Alaska Hawaii partnership. So for those of you that don't know, basically the ability to transfer membership reward points from American Express to Alaska via Hawaiian is ending officially tomorrow, which makes me think that this is the last day to actually do it without having to worry about whether or not it actually took place. So what I am going to do is I'm going to show you guys kind of my theory of the case. Let's go ahead and move to, basically this is the Alaska Airlines website. You're probably very familiar. Now, I actually have already moved 120,000 points. And so I have 120,000 points sitting in here. And we're going to get into why in a second. But let's take a look at that. Thank you, Juan, for being here. I really appreciate it. I just wanted, what we're doing right now is I would just kind of, I currently already have 120,000 points in Alaska, and I'm not sure if I want to do more. I think I might actually. So let's take a look at this one. So I'm just going to use an example search, Orlando to Chicago, 922.25, one adult, and using miles. So one of the great things I love about Alaska is they make it really easy to search for miles on the website and on the app as well. Now, I know that if you're dealing directly with a carrier, that's not necessarily that new. But if you're dealing with someone with like transfer partners or something, Virgin, Air France, you actually have to go to the specific, like the actual desktop website. And that can make it a little bit hard to search for reward availability. Whereas with Alaska, you can search it directly in the app. So there's a bunch of different options here. And basically one of the things I love about Alaska is the fact that there's an award chart, right? So you have 7,500 miles for refundable main cabin, and then 15,000 miles for refundable first class. And this is completely refundable. I've already booked a bunch of these options and kind of canceled it. And the only thing you don't get is the booking fee. So Alaska, when you book with a partner airline, they charge a booking fee of $25. And that's pretty much the only thing you don't get back, which is kind of a big deal, honestly, because these taxes and fees you get back. Your miles go straight back immediately, actually, like you can rebook it immediately. So that's really nice. And so this is actually pretty across the board. So if I were to actually go through and change the search to say, what's another good airport? Let's do DCA. So let's go to Washington, D.C. Let's just pick the same day. You can see that it's the exact same, the same points requirement, which is kind of a big deal to have. And this is one of those last bastions of like an actual, like an award chart, right? Everyone's going kind of where those prices can go up and everything. And so that's kind of a big deal. So basically one of the things I like about this, okay, that is nice. So just use my fee on Delta, book, cancel, get the free e-credit, got to pair it with a gift card though. Okay, yeah, so you're talking about the American Express Platinum incidental fee, I believe. That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard that. I think with the gift card, it has to be a little bit over $200, I think. Or is that old information? I'm not sure. But anyway, so getting back to this information. So one of the things that's interesting, refundable first class, 15,000 miles, that's kind of the sweet spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch to see how good of a deal is this. So we're going to switch to American here. And I've went ahead and logged in and pulled this up. Let's take a look at the same one. So this is MCO, one way to Chicago. And then 922, so the same thing. So let's take a look at the search for redeeming miles. So one of the things that you're going to see is one of the reasons why American Airlines or American miles are considered to be so valuable is that they kind of do have an award chart for some tickets, right? So 8,500 miles, if I wanted to leave at 7 a.m., that's not that much of a difference compared to Alaska. Remember, that was 7,500 miles. But if you wanted to leave a little bit earlier, then it can kind of start to creep up on you. So this is 12 4,500 miles, right? And if you want to do first class, now I know that American first class is basically kind of premium economy, and but it's nice, especially for someone with like kind of broader shoulders on big bone. That's what we're going to call it. That's kind of nice. And so when you take a look at this, it's 48,000. If you want to leave at 1128, it's 68,000 points, which is kind of absurd, right? And so that's one of the reasons why I like Alaska, because for this same, actually, let me go ahead and pull up the Alaska thing again. There we go. So for 15,000 miles, I consider an American first class be in really a nice situation for the entirety of the flight. And that's kind of insane because for some of these, that's the amount of American Airlines points that I have to spend for economy. And so the way I look at it, like if I could seat in first class, I would rather do it. Yeah, it's not going to be the nicest, but it's a big seat. It's really nice. And my wife and I are actually doing this next week. So you are saving a little bit when you go to Alaska for economy, but you're saving a lot if you're targeting first class. But one of the key things that I think is really important about this that I wanted to look at is Points Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, Points Yeah is a really great way to search for different award bookings. And then this is, thanks so much for confirming, Ian. I appreciate that. So this is a way to kind of take a look at possible award booking. So this is called the Daydream Explorer and in Points Yeah. So I'm going to go from the United States and I'm going to target going to Europe. So if we take a look at Europe here, and we can go for a date range. We're going to go for a whole month. I'm going to take a look at March of next November. Thanks so much for joining the membership, Mike. We have one membership video dropped already, but new videos are kind of come every Saturday. Okay, so for this one here, there's a lot of different options. We're going to go ahead and hit search. And what this is going to show you is essentially you can see a bunch of different options. So this one's going to be from Newark to Warsaw, Poland. You know what I didn't do? I did not do business in first class. So that's kind of what I want to look at. So we're going to take a look at Boston to London. So this is London Heathrow, and then it pops up into a new tab that you should be able to see. And so this is, if you take a look at Alaska Mile Plan, this is Boston to Heathrow, so London Heathrow for 45,000 points. $18. And so this is kind of a big deal. Now it is American Airlines business class, which it's still kind of the lay flat seat, but maybe the soft product isn't going to be as good as say like Virgin. Oh, you can't see. Oh yeah, it's just me. Sorry. Thank you for pointing that out. So, okay. So there we go. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that. So what we're going to take a look at, so I'm going to go back to this other screen. So when you search on Points Yeah, you can kind of search. I searched from United States to Europe for the entirety of March 2026. And this one here, Boston to London, is 45,000 points for business class. And this one gives you $18 for fees. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with flying to Heathrow. My wife and I have done it a number of times, but there often are substantial fees. Thanks so much for confirming, Ian. There often are substantial fees when it comes to actually getting that, the taxes and fees for business class. You can pay upwards of $700, $800, maybe even $1,000 if you're going with British Airways. But to get business class seats from a major city to London directly for $18 in fees is kind of the big deal. And if you take a look at actually this, there's wide open availability. There's the 10th, the 24th, the 9th, the 7th. Basically, pretty much you just have to pick your day and you're able to actually figure out what it is that you need to do in order to be able to actually get there cheaply, right? And so this is one of the reasons why I think the Alaska mileage plan thing is such a big deal, because first of all, you can get to Europe very easily, but you can also pretty much get to, cheaply, but it's wide open availability because of that award chart. And that's kind of the big deal. Thank you so much. Jen is my wife, and she's awesome and incredible. Love her. But yeah, so this is really kind of incredible. So let's take a look. I'm going to go back to the other tab, and we're going to take a look at some other options. So there's Dulles to Lisbon. And now this one's going to have, you notice, a little bit more fees and taxes. So this one's also through Alaska. But this is through Royal Air Morocco. I haven't really seen too much about them. If anybody has seen anything from them, please let me know. But the fact that it is business class for 45,000 points and $296 in fees kind of seems like that could be interesting at the very least. We'll have to see. But let's take a look again. Sorry, I dropped that again. Let's see. I think this could be the one. All right, and then add to stage. There we go. Okay, so we're taking a look here at a bunch of different options, Boston to London. Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead to share this tab instead. Okay. There we go. So we have LaGuardia to London as well, Boston to Lisbon as well, JFK to London. And so when we see the 45,000 points for $18, pretty much you have wide open availability. You can go pretty much anywhere across Europe, to Amsterdam, to Milan, to Paris, and you're in business class for 45 to 50,000 points. And the reason why this is a big deal, at least to me, is because, if you're traveling, if you're trying to find Air France flights, for example, right, you're looking for award charts. You are searching through days and days and, of availability. And sometimes you have to figure out, okay, is there award space for 2 seats, for 3 seats, right? With this American-Alaskan partnership, and then you can also book British Airways through Alaska, there's wide open availability. And so these Alaska points are just so insanely valuable. And the reason why I transferred 120,000 points is because, so first of all, if we're doing business class flights, that's going to be, between my wife and I, that's going to be about 60,000 points round trip for any kind of international, like inside the United States trips. So 120,000 points is enough for 2 first class trips somewhere round trip for both of us. Or if I add a little bit more, I think I might actually add to get up to, 180,000 points, because having the ability to do 2 business class seats round trip to Europe is kind of a big deal. So I think while I have these points with Amex, and right now I actually have about 360,000. I've been very happy with the sign up bonuses so far. So I think I am going to move 50,000 points over there. But this is the last possible day to do that, and that's incredible to me. And it's easy to book too. Let me pull up the website again. So we're going to take a look back at Alaska. So I'm going to change the search. We're going to go from Orlando. Let's say if I wanted to go from Orlando to LHR. So let's take a look at if there's a way that I can make that happen. So let's say also departing. Actually, you know what? Let's keep it apples to oranges. Let's do March. Let's do a random day in March. And let's take a look at what that means. All right, so first of all, it shows you a bunch of different options, but let's take a look at some of this. So some of this is, let's see. So this is British Airways flights, and you can see here that it looks like it's going from Orlando to Gatwick, and that's actually going to be, it looks like it's direct. So that's pretty incredible. So a direct to London without having to do any positioning flights. Now, if we take a look at this is going to be with British Airways, and you can see where those fees are going to be a little bit harder. A little bit more expensive. So this is going to be partner premium. So this is going to be a premium economy seat in British Airways, which honestly is not bad. My wife and I love about premium economy. Honestly, let me know what you guys think. Is premium economy okay for traveling overseas? Do we have any economy people? I know I was talking to Anthony Venture yesterday, and he seemed to be very confident that economy was acceptable. But premium economy is okay. 35,000 points, $516. Yuri, thank you. Any chance you can compare some economy points flights? Family of 4, so business class is stretched. Also, FYI, there are no direct transatlantic flights from LaGuardia, New York. Okay, all right. Thanks so much. I will actually take a look at what some of those options are. Let's take a look at points. Yeah, so I'm going to switch to this tab here. So I'm going to switch the economy, and I'm actually going to deselect business in first. And let's take a look at this. So if we take a look here, this is, again, for the month of March of next year from the United States to Europe. Let's take a look at what this looks like. So this is EWR to London. Let me take a look at this here. So we're looking at, for miles and more, so that's Lufthansa, that's 90 points and $211. For those of you that don't have Lufthansa points, which are probably most of you, that may not be the most available. Let me see if I can actually get rid of Lufthansa here. Where is it? Miles and more, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of that one, and let's take a look here. So, okay, so if we go from JFK to Amsterdam, we can do this from 12,000 points and $163. And that is through, let's see, that's KLM. So that's not bad, actually. So 12,000 points, and it looks like there's a decent amount of seats, if I can see that correctly. Let's see, does it tell you how many seats there are? It should. So some of these have, well, this one's nonstop actually, which is nice. So 12,000 points and $163 in fees. That could be substantially less than just paying for that economy flight directly. And so, okay, so there's two left here. So you can actually search by how many people. I think we said family of 4. Let's see if we can actually do a number of seats. So we're going to do 4 seats here and then apply that. So we're only going to look for seats that have 4. So if we take a look, there's Virgin Atlantic Flying Club. So this is 9 available from JFK to Amsterdam from 10,000 points. And so that's 10,000 points and $95 in taxes per person. And there's 9 seats left on this flight. Now, let's take a look at the details. So it looks like there's a stop in Heathrow. So JFK, so that's a 3-hour layover in Heathrow. So you could actually skip lag this one if you weren't doing any check-in bags. But if you were going straight to Amsterdam, then that would be really a solid redemption, honestly. 10,000 Virgin Atlantic Flying Club points is kind of insane, because if you're not familiar with Virgin, and my wife and I really love Virgin, it's very easy to earn these points because they're transfer partners of nearly every bank. There's Capital One, Chase, Amex, I believe Citi is also. I'm not sure about Wells Fargo, actually. I don't have any actually Wells Fargo cards at the moment. The One Key card is the only Wells Fargo card I have. But it's very easy to earn these Virgin Atlantic points. And so the fact that you have this wide open availability where there's, 10,000 points, $95 in taxes. Now, that's still $400 each way for the family of 4-ish in taxes. But that's going to be substantially less than, what you're looking at. Now, if you're in the American point section, let's see if there's any Alaska availability. Let's just do only Alaska. Oh, yeah. Okay. So Daniel has a great point. So across the pond, it's phenomenal. But within Europe, the tax and fees outweigh the actual cash value unless you choose business class. Yeah, that's actually a fair point. So my wife and I did a positioning flight. So we flew from Charles de Gaulle to Manchester, England, and we did that with Air France. And I think for both of us, so it was only 5,000 points for each. So it was 10,000 points for each, but we also had to pay for baggage and things like that. And so we kind of saved money, we kind of didn't. So that's a really good point. So, and that's one of the reasons why I liked this idea with Alaska, because you can do multi-partner bookings. So a couple months ago, my wife and I were considering going to Prague or Vienna next March. And I actually did make a booking. Actually, no, this was for a different trip. So I actually made a booking for this fall to London with American Airlines from Alaska. It was 45,000 points. And what it was is actually from, I think it was from Chicago. No, it was from Philadelphia to Barcelona. And then there was an hour connecting flight from Barcelona to London. And so that was part of one single booking. And it was actually, so it was European business class, which means nobody's sitting next to you for between Barcelona to London, but it was American business class, over the pond. And so that was kind of a good way to kind of avoid those kind of taxes and fees. But yeah, that's you definitely need to watch out for that, because I think my wife and I actually, so we got the free checked bags, one free checked bag for each seat, but we ended up actually having to pay for an additional checked bag, and that was like $70 or 70 euro, which was kind of insane as far as, because we kind of get pampered a little bit. I know it doesn't feel like it, but $35 for a checked bag is substantially less than 70 euro. So yeah, great point. Let's see. In Europe, it's better to reposition on low-cost airlines. They are so competitively priced. Over here, it's hard to pass them up and save your points for those long-haul flights. Yeah, that's true, actually. So yeah, so we definitely were kind of uninitiated when we did the Air France thing. It was a very tiny plane, so I feel like we weren't really getting that much kind of added benefit from it being kind of a more well-known carrier. So yeah, that's a great suggestion, Mike. We'll have to make sure to look into that later. And so that's one of the great things about kind of this Alaska program, because if we're looking, let me go back to here. Let me see if I can change this search again. So if we're looking from, I think you were looking at, domestic, I think, right, or economy we were wanting to look at. So let's take a look at the same date for, what's another one we can look at? Let's take a look at Paris. I forgot what the, Charles de Gaulle. Let's take a look here. All right, so if we're taking a look here, main cabin, now this is refundable main cabin, which, I know if you're, kind of booking these trips, if you're booking with Virgin or Delta, there's often the fare and then there's a refundable fare. And usually there can be a couple $100 difference between the two. So this is actually the refundable fare, which is nice. And this is 27,000 miles. Now this is one way per person, but it's MCO to Charles de Gaulle. So if you're going to Paris, one booking, 27,000 miles. And you're stopping off in Miami for 4 hours. Maybe that'll be enough time for you to get out of the line into the Centurion Lounge in Miami. I heard that one gets quite a wait. But so you're flying down to Miami. You got power and Wi-Fi in your Airbus A319, and then flying overseas for 8 hours 40 minutes in economy. So it is possible, right? There's a decent amount of availability there. Let's take a look at the seats that are available. So because it's a partner airline, we can't see it. So if you're taking a look at economy flights, there are different ways to do it. Alaska actually might not be the most beneficial transfer partner for that. And that's one of the things that we got to consider, right? So how do you want to travel? Because this is kind of stressful a little bit because this is right the last day to actually make that decision, right? But when basically I have to think about like, where do I want to go and how do I want to get there? Main cabin could be better. It could be better to do the points thing, right? Because with some of these, we're taking a look at 19,000 points each person with this one. So this one was JFK to Amsterdam for 19,000 points. Let's see, what was the Virgin one? There was a Virgin one, I think. Maybe it was a different search. But this one is 22,000 points for Alaska, and that's through Aer Lingus, which is really cool. And that's stopping over in Dublin. So there's all sorts of ways to get there, but Alaska really, if you take a look at some of these, bookings and some of this availability, it's kind of a big deal. Like it just gives you so much more options. So like if I were to completely cut out Alaska, let's take a look at if I were able to do that. Let's see. You think it would be up here, right? Yeah, there it is. Let's completely cut off Alaska and let's see if that changes anything. So we have JetBlue, which if your Chase does 1-to-1, and I think Citi does 1-to-1 for JetBlue, like that could be an option. I definitely wouldn't transfer your Capital One points in JetBlue, but if you're trying to go to Amsterdam, then that kind of limits your options a little bit. You still got Virgin Atlantic there, so that's an option. So you got 10,000 points for that. So that's, you still have an option, but Alaska really does kind of give you more of that availability. So Daniel, he said, I transferred 250,000 from Amex to Alaska through the back door. I'm bankrupt now. Rakuten is about to reload my MR points though. That's great, honestly. Rakuten, I think I have like probably 30,000 points coming in through Rakuten next month, or I think it's August. But that's kind of the big question, right? Do you want to be bankrupt in American Express? And I have to be honest with you guys. So my wife and I are planning a couple of smaller trips, but we're definitely planning a big trip to Scotland in the fall of 2026. So we have a little bit of time, but if I'm going to start significantly looking at award availability, that's going to start in November of this year, which means if I want to make those business class or first class purchases, I need to have those points available where I need them. And so I need to kind of weigh whether or not do I definitely want to double down on Alaska and kind of throw everything in there like Daniel did, Or do I want to make, maybe there's some availability with Air France, right? Daniels, I think it's one of those moments of like, wow, I'm so glad I transferred everything before it closes. Yeah, that's true. And then some buyer's remorse when you find aspirational flights at potential locations. Yeah, 100%, right? Because, I think the concern and the reason why I've been thinking about this so much is because, if let's say I completely empty out my Amex thing and transfer it all to Alaska, and then like, what if there's an Air France business class seat that's like the day that I want to get there, right? I definitely would be kicking myself if that were to happen. Now, is the likelihood that that's going to happen there? I don't know. Their reward availability has kind of been a little sporadic recently, but the fact that it's there is like I'd much rather do that than American, right? And so that's kind of, that's definitely one of those, like, you get some buyer's remorse, but then this is, and on the other hand, like what I was talking about earlier, this is one of the last great kind of award chart carriers. And, of course, it may break tomorrow, right? Like if we all transfer all of our Amex points, it could be like, no, we're not doing the award charts anymore for a little bit or something until we get it all out of our system. So, that could be a key consideration as well, right? We don't know how that's going to go. But, I want to go back to, let's see if I can pull this back up. So one thing that my wife and I have been wanting to do was going to over, across the country. So I'm going to do LAX. I think, let's just do Los Angeles all. Let's do the same month just for grins and giggles. So if we take a look at this, now you can see that it's going to be a little bit further, right? And so it's going to be a little bit harder to find that award availability, and it's going to be a little bit more expensive. So we go to 17.5 thousand miles, $19. And refundable first class is 95,000 miles. And that's, let's see, is that right? That's wild. So we go to Orange County, Santa Ana, and then, okay. Wild. Okay. So, so there's changeover in Seattle for an hour. So that's definitely not going to be as nice as the 30,000 points, right? Let's take a look if there's one that goes to Seattle that maybe would be a little bit cheaper. I'm not sure how they do that. All right, Daniel said Alaska on the West Coast is actually insane. 4K one way per person from San Francisco to anywhere on the West Coast at times. Oh, that's good to know. All right, so let's take a look. I'll take a look at San Francisco in a minute. So, okay, so narrowing it to Seattle kind of reduces the business class or the first class a little bit. But honestly, I don't know if I would put 85,000 miles towards that. Like, it's a long flight. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's what is that? A 6.5 hour flight. That's a long time to be rubbing shoulders with two strangers. But 85,000 miles is a lot. Now, this one's a little bit better. It's a night flight, but it's 60,000 miles. Maybe that'd be a little bit more amenable. Let's take a look at the San Francisco flights. Those things, that seems pretty interesting. So we're going to go from San Francisco. All right, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at Seattle again, just to. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So 5,000 miles for refundable main, 25,000 miles for first class, and that's about 2 hours 16 minutes. So that's actually comparable to going from Orlando to DC, which is what our flight is. I think it's like 2.5 hours, and substantially less miles. Yeah, that's a great point. Thanks so much for pointing that out. I know some friend of ours really loved a trip. They went to Alaska last year, and they were talking about wanting us to go with them, and so that could be, one way we make that happen. PDX is pretty nice. San Diego, LAX, even Vegas. Okay. I haven't spent that much time in airports on the West Coast. I've only pretty much been to LAX once. I think my wife went to San Francisco one time, but I think it was the Oakland airport or something, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, okay, sweet. So PDX is pretty nice. Let's take a look at if I wanted to go from Orlando to PDX. Let's do that. I wonder how much that, or how crazy that would be. Okay, yeah, 12,000 across the country. That's honestly, that's kind of insane, right? So 12,000 American Express miles to go across the country. Now it is so you are connecting in Seattle 6.5 hours in economy and then another hour. That is insane, right? Across the country for 12,000 American Express miles. Let's take a look. If we wanted to do American, let me, I got to relog in. So I'll show you that screen here in a second once I don't show you guys my AA number. All right, come on. All right, you can do it. Computer's being difficult. All right. Nope. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what American would do. So if we wanted to just do that flight, because I think it is an American flight with Alaska, right? Yeah, it looks like it's, let's take a look at it. So it's an actual Alaska. That's right, they do that Orlando flight. So let's see if we can book it through Alaska. So the same flight. What was the date that I did on that one? That was the March 17th. All right, so let's take a look at this tab. Let's go Orlando to, I think, PDX we talked about. All right, number of passengers, and then let's do, let's do one way, March 17th. All right, let's hit search. Oh, I didn't hit redeem miles. Yeah, I definitely agree with Daniel that. So for those that value Point, domestic travel is very difficult to get a good redemption on. I dealt with that when I was trying to book. So my wife and I are going to Huntsville later this summer, and then I went to Louisville with a friend of mine, and we decided to go with Delta for that. And the best redemption that I could find was through Air France. I think that was like, maybe I want to say like 18,000, and then Delta wanted like probably like maybe 26,000 for one way per person. And which, like, the Air France, like, it was decent, but it definitely wasn't solid, but especially compared to these, when you take a look at, how much those are. I think I messed up on the search. Let me see if I can do the miles. Sorry about this. All right, there we go. We're hanging up a little bit. There we go. Okay. All right, so PDX, include redeem miles. There we go. All right, search. But yeah, I mean, American miles have been really good, and I'm not sure what's going on with that whole potential city partnership, because I feel like that would be pretty compelling. But I wonder if that would lead to these miles not being as valuable. So wow, so okay, so yeah, this is 12,000 American miles as well. And that's almost exactly the same, except their fees are about the same too. So this is actually, so between American across the country and in main cabin, that's not bad. Actually, this first class redemption looks pretty intriguing. So this is 36,000 for first class, and we were taking a look at 60,000 Alaska miles. So in this way, American is actually beating Alaska on this flight. If you take a look now, it's not the same flight. I'm kind of cherry picking here. It's leaving at 5:18 a.m., which is kind of early. But yeah, for first class across the country, 36,000 points. That feels like a big. I would make that deal every day, and I would definitely do that. And then, honestly, I would love it if City Points, if City did get American Airlines as a transfer partner, I think I would probably go all in on City. I would probably give up the American Express love a little bit, because, honestly, it's a pretty powerful program, at least in its current state. And one thing that is hopefully going to be nice about American is that they are going to be doing free Wi-Fi in the future. I think next year is when they're going to be doing it completely. Now, Delta already does it, which is super helpful. I was actually on a Delta flight last week. Yeah, last week. And the fact that we were able to text our friends, I actually watched an Anthony Venture live stream from the plane and was commenting on it on my iPad. And it was completely free. It was Viasat. It was actually really good. I think it was 60 megabyte per second download, and then I think it was 15 megabyte per second upload. So not terrible at all. Completely, especially for free. And if American had the same similar capability, I would definitely wouldn't mind going all in on American. I know some people like to give it, a little bit of stuff. And honestly, like, I don't feel like their app is that good compared to Delta. Their lounge network isn't as good as Delta's. But, these points, like traveling across the country on 36,000 is kind of a big deal to me, yeah, that's huge. So I definitely think I'm probably going to at least transfer another 50,000 to Alaska by the end of the day. Maybe more, honestly, if taking a look at some of these. But what's really insane is that, like, for economy in the United States, American's chart is actually very similar to Alaska's chart. And it's not as big of a deal, big of a difference as I thought it was, honestly, before I started comparing it. So that's interesting. Honestly, let's kind of continue the Delta anti-love fest a little bit. Let's take a look at theirs, just for grins and giggles, on the same kind of flights. So I'm going to log in behind the scenes, so you guys can't take all my miles, not like you would. Let's see. All right, gotta log in. What do you guys think? Who is your best domestic carrier? Is it Southwest? Do we have any Southwest lovers still out there? They've really been trying to kind of change that realistically. Okay, so we're on Delta. Let's take a look at Delta MCO to, I think, let's just do PDX to see. I don't know if they'll fly into Portland, but we'll see what that looks like. Let's do a one-way. Oh, really? Okay, so Yitzi as I looked for a flight from New York City to PHX. Alaska didn't have a good option. Okay, that's good to know. All right, so let's do one way depart. I think I was doing March, right? March 17th. I'm trying to keep the same date because I want to make sure that I'm trying to compare as accurately as I can, right? So let's take a look at Delta's calendar here. Daniel has some thoughts. What do you have? Thoughts about Southwest? Probably. Okay. Wow. Okay. So Delta's kind of blowing it out of the water a little bit here with this one way. So let's take a look. They're claiming 6,400 miles and $6. Now, of course, I do have the gold member, the takeoff 15 discount, which is a lot of, which is kind of, it's not insignificant. It's definitely a reason to have the card. But yeah, wow. So Delta main cabin, 6,400 miles. That's kind of crazy. Okay, so we have a couple of people thinking thoughts. So okay, Mike Newland says, I just checked, Delta economy was 10,000 points on March 17th. Okay, honestly, 10,000 points is not okay. So I was kind of I guess taking an advanced dunk on Delta, and maybe undeservedly so. Apparently, March is the time to travel overseas for a bunch of different airlines. So Ian says, in routes where there are a lot of American Airlines options, I find that only one or two of the flights will be available via Warner Alaska. That's definitely a true point. So I was looking at trying to use Alaska to book American flights to where was it? It was Louisville, and the flights to Charlotte to connect from Orlando there were a lot of good options, but there were only two options from Charlotte to Louisville. And one would arrive at, I think it was like 11 o'clock at night, and the other one would have arrived at 12:03 a.m. the next day. And so, so award availability is kind of a big deal, honestly. You got to consider that too, especially domestically, because you might be stuck with one or two late night flights, depending on how that goes. So yeah, that's a really great point, Ian. Daniel, American reigns supreme. The problem that I see in the future is if and when Citi gets access to that transfer partner, I'd expect a huge change of cost for these trips. Yeah, that's true. And that's kind of because, I think that there's a lot of people that I talk to, at least in the credit card space, that are really kind of saving up their Citi points in anticipation of this, which means they can probably expect a pretty significant influx as soon as this actually does go live, if it does go live, right? So yeah, I think that could be it. And one of the things, too, that I don't like about Delta is that if you're transferring American Express points to Delta, and that's really the only way to actually transfer to Delta, directly anyway, you have to pay that tax, right? They charge that the tax in order to be able to actually transfer those flights to domestic carriers. So that's also true of JetBlue, also true of Alaska for that matter, but not true of Air France or Virgin, which is another reason to book Delta flights with those carriers. So yeah, I was surprised by that too, Mike. That is, the economy Delta flights are not too bad. Honestly, So my friend and I, we flew Louisville round trip, and so that was 4 flights because we connected to Atlanta each time. So on the way out and then on the way back. And honestly, we were in row 35, row 38, row 37, and row 40. And just waiting for like 20 minutes for everyone to figure out actually like how to walk off the plane was kind of insane. And honestly, I think that would be enough for me to actually just pick the 23,000 points for the Delta Comfort Plus. So you get a little bit more leg room, but you get closer to the exit doors, which I think would kind of be a big deal, especially if you're feeling a little kind of cabin fever with those planes. All right, Daniel says there's no transfer partners, so earning these points are much harder. Yeah, 100%. But when you incorporate the earnings of the custom cash or Strata Premier, they'll make changes for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I recently got the sign-up bonus for the Citi A Advantage Platinum Select, and that's this one here. And it was a higher bonus, 80,000 points. But I got to say, the spending here on this was not terrible. Like, I mean, for an airline card. I know it's kind of sacrilegious for me to say this. Let me see if I can pull up their earnings here. Because if you really cared that much about American and like you were all in on them, let's take a look at credit cards here. Yeah, okay, so the Platinum Select card. So it earns 2 points on restaurants, gas stations, and American Airlines purchases, which honestly, yeah, it sounds like if I was booking American Airlines flights in cash, I definitely would prefer to pay for that with my Platinum card or even my Gold card, honestly. 3 points per dollar on that. Yeah, but, honestly, 2 points per dollar on restaurants and gas stations, it's not terrible when you consider like how good American Airlines points could be. Like if you were all in on that carrier, I can see like this being a decent card. When you see the 4x on the Gold card or 3x on on entertainment with the Saver card or 5x back with the Citi custom cash, like it's hard to justify that. It's hard to justify. Actually, I just realized I was doing the same thing. I wasn't sharing my screen. So yeah, so this is the Platinum Select here. This currently has a 50,000 bonus. I wouldn't sign up for that. I'd wait for the 80,000 or targeted 70,000. I think I've seen, but you do get free check bags. So if you wanted to book and gain points towards American Airlines loyalty, it's actually easy to do that by spending on this card. But yeah, 100%, Daniel. I agree. If I'm going to dunk on some of those other cards, like I got to play equal housing on that one, because it's just spending on anything when I'm eating food on something that's not the Gold card, just it sickens me. I recently finished the sign up bonus for the Platinum card, and I hated seeing like how little points I was actually earning with that 1 point per dollar on most purchases. Yeah, I'm totally with you, Daniel. Yeah, that Amex tax, it's so pointless. And honestly, if you take, I hope nobody, I always hate paying that tax, but I always like really get angry about the point values, because like I think the last one that I was looking at, you could pay $9, or I think, yeah, it was like $9 in taxes, or like something crazy. It was like 12,000 or something points or something. It was like, no, I don't remember what the exact thing was, but it was way definitely worse to pay with points. Yeah, don't do that. I didn't find a good option. Yitzi says I didn't find a good option for a flight from New York City to PHX in Alaska. Okay, let's take a look. I'm curious what that option is. Let's take a look. So I think it was New York City's. I'm just going to do just any New York City airport. So we could be taking our lives in our hands with the whole LaGuardia or Newark thing. But then I think we were looking at PHX. So let's look at PHX. PHX and PDX always sound very similar to me. Okay. All right. So we got use miles March 3rd, 17th. Let's take a look. Okay. So it's not as good. That's for sure. 17,000 miles is definitely not as good as 12,000 miles, right? And that's operated by American Airlines. So there are some options there's even other airports. So there's Newark. There's JFK, right? That's pretty nice. So there's a couple different options on airports. Let's take a look at how that compares to American. And yeah, I did it again. Sorry, guys. Yeah, that's true. I'll take these premium cards over these all day, every day. Yeah, I agree as well. I definitely, Daniel and I are definitely in agreement on that point because, it's this card only has like a 90 something annual fee. I think it's like $99 or something weird. All right, I think we were looking at New York to PHX, right? All right, I'm going to look at New York City to PHX. See what we can see on American. Yeah, redeem miles, gotcha. Yeah, I'm a fan of the premium cards too, honestly. Just my lounge access with my platinum card. Wow, okay. So this is actually interesting. So if we're comparing, so first of all, there's a couple different options on airports. So we have Newark and JFK. Obviously I would prefer JFK, but you have, this is 7,500 points or 9,000 points. Interesting. So the JFK ones have kind of a more of a premium, which is not something I don't feel like we saw. Yeah, I guess we did see that too. So American is actually a little bit better than Alaska for this flight. So that's interesting. So there's definitely more options, and it's cheaper if you go directly with American. So that's a good point, Yitzi. That award availability, even if it looks like there's a lot, it could be more expensive if you have those American miles. Does anybody know how easy it is to earn American miles when you're just paying for flights directly? I don't pay directly for flights on American, or at least I haven't yet, so I don't really have a familiar experience with that. And honestly, 17,000 in first class across, that's not bad either. I would leave Newark at 6:25 a.m. for that. What do you guys think? Is that much point savings worth potential loss of life and limb? All right. I just kind of like, I think I'm going to end up transferring some more points. Chad's money minutes, paid flights with A depends on status, as the bonus also applies to loyalty points. Okay, yeah, that's fair. I think sometimes that works like that, right? I think Southwest does that. You earn a lot less if you pay for. That's governed by how much you actually pay, like which fare you use. So that's true. Chad pays for them all the time via my work travel. Oh yeah, okay. That's nice. I need to get one of those jobs where I have to travel. That's awesome. I love that. Now, do they let you pay for them through your if you have a platinum card, or do you have to like book it through like their portal or something like that? I wonder. Thanks so much, Anthony Venture, for coming on. I appreciate you. You're still wrong about those premium cards, but I love you anyway. Ian, Anthony, you better give my 49 to Phillip since you're not using it properly. Honestly, the fact that he wouldn't get YouTube Premium despite the fact that it was free, I don't understand, honestly. Oh, Philmo's flying out of EWR for the meetup. Wow, that's brave. Hopefully you're okay with that. Oh man, I don't have to do a chargeback. So Ian, that actually could be a cool data point. Which brand of credit card did you pay with? Because I actually had a decent data point with Citi. I paid for some shoes on TikTok Shop that were like 5 sizes too small, and the merchant never answered me back. And Citi actually, they kind of I had to do some back and forth. Thank you, Anthony. Oh man, I had to do some back and forth with Citi, but eventually they actually had a successful chargeback on that one. So, that could be interesting. Okay, so Chad has an expense account and a corporate card that let me use all of my awards programs. See, that's really good. I appreciate that. I feel like there's one program that's really been online a lot, and it's aimed at employers, and it's supposed to sync with all of the hotel and flight loyalty programs, so that those people that book that, so if they're employees, you pay for it as a business owner, and then they are able to get their points, which honestly, that seems like a great kind of little perk, honestly. If you're someone who does travel for a lot, that's a significant kind of bonus. You can earn significant mileage just by having paid flights or flying on paid flights. My wife and I paid for one of our trips, and I think it was $2,000 for a Virgin trip, and I think we earned like 20,000 points out of it. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I think Navan or Navan, I don't know. But yeah, so there are a bunch of other programs. We use Concur because I'm super corporate. But yeah, are we gonna get a WWE moment where he pops into the street? Yeah, Anthony. Honestly, I can send you a link if you want to stop in. I don't know where you are. I can invite you. Let's see here. We'll see if he's able to. I don't know. There's the steel chair. Oh yeah. I really got to watch out. I still got that huge goose egg on my head from before. But thanks so much, Anthony. That was awesome. And I think we actually had a couple others. So Mike Newland became a member earlier too. So thanks so much for that. And then of course Jennifer Stuckey, my wonderful, amazing, incredible wife, also supported the channel. So who else can say that their wife has given to their channel? Oh, there we go. We got Anthony. Let me add him in. How's it going, Anthony?
Don't let the viewers see this, but I'm at my day job at the moment. Don't let anybody see this, though.
Oh, okay. I'll take you out. Okay. Can I add you to the stage? Yeah? Yeah? Okay.
Don't let anybody see this, but we're showing houses at the moment, so we can't let anybody know what I'm doing when I'm not on
okay.
YouTube.
All right. Everyone be quiet. So how are you feeling after that brutal beating you got yesterday?
Thanks. Feeling great. Thanks for asking. I'm just so curious, though. I was wondering, did you put some ice on your head last night from all the steel chairs I hit you with? All the logics and the facts that I was hitting you with?
Oh yeah, I had
Nobody
to go in
needs
for
a
a little
premium
bit of
card whatsoever.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I love my platinum card way too much. It's too pretty. But yeah, you should go back to recording some more videos from the Tesla.
Well, I'm so hospitable, Phil. I thank you very much for inviting me onto your show. It means a lot. And I think I'm just going to leave now. And you know what? I'm going to charge back my $5 too. So peace out.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Anthony. I appreciate it. But anyway, but yeah, so we were talking about American and getting points and things like that. And, that's, which one of these airlines has the best loyalty program, do you think? And I guess we can't say Southwest anymore because did you hear? Oh yeah, there was a rumor on Doctor of Credit that they were going to be further hurting their oh yeah yeah, your phone was overheating. Yeah, the companion pass was going to be going away according to a rumor on Doctor Credit. So let's take a look here. Yeah, so Southwest sent out a survey regarding changes to the loyalty program. Let's take a look here. The survey makes mention of a new tiered system with either 4 or 5 tiers. Unfortunately, only the highest tier would receive the companion pass and requirements ranging from 30 to 50 round trips or 100,000 to 160,000 points. So this was a survey sent out to users. What do you guys think about this? The companion pass. So the companion pass has kind of been a big deal, right, with Southwest, because this is honestly really the only way that you can get a buy one get one free for insane amounts, right? I used to do suit, not really anymore unless I have a listing. Yeah, honestly, I love Anthony's headshot picture. Like that shade of blue suit was just like when I worked in DC, like all the new hill turns, that's what we called the interns on the hill. They always had that exact same color of blue, and then like those like very light brown shoes, because that was like what everybody decided was really good back then. And I say back then because that was like 10 years ago. But yeah, no, that was that exact same color. So Anthony Venture could definitely be kind of a staffer on the hill with that get up. So that would be That would be good. So for spending, it's American, you said. So Ian, you really like American for spending. Okay. It seems like they do have a really good kind of program. I was surprised at how many loyalty points. Nice. I feel like everyone does, honestly. I got a set that they were Brooks, and then they had kind of like the it was like a darker kind of polish on the tips. Yeah, almost uncapped awards on American. Wow. Wow. Okay. Spending $5 million uncapped rewards on American. Okay, yeah. I mean, honestly, honestly, the chances of me spending $5 million on any kind of airline, even if I were to win the lottery, are probably kind of low. But honestly, I didn't realize that some of the airlines capped those rewards. So that's actually really good to know. If you are kind of those big rollers, even more when you think about the fact that they have all those international options, right? So if you want to travel to Europe, they have a lot of different options, and they service a lot of the major cities. I want to go back to Pointia, actually. I was there before, and I know it looks like we're affiliated, but I do not have a brand deal with Pointia. I just really like the product. So let's take a look here. I want to take a look at let's take a look at let's see if we're going to Asia. Let's go to Western Asia. Let's go to Eastern Asia. Let's see there. Let's see, is there any availability for that? Go away, Rakuten. Yes. Okay, let's put a search there. All right. Let's see. All right, so let's take a look. I'm actually going to go back to programs. So I wanted to make sure I'm including Alaska again. Yep, I am. Okay. So Seattle to Taipei. Let's take a look at what this option is. So this is Emirates. So there's actually a option for 41,000 points for $313 in fees. That is kind of crazy. So Anthony, so I currently have 120,000 points sitting there, and I'm thinking I'm going to top it up at least to 180,000. And the reason why is because it's very easy to find 45,000 point business class seats. As they have an award for spending. Well, most don't give you anything except miles. Okay. Oh, I got you. Okay. I didn't know they had an award for spending. That's really good. But yeah, so go back to Anthony's point, 45,000 points per business class, per person, per way. So that would fit a round trip to Europe in business class for me and my wife. So I think I might top that off. I might do more, honestly. I'm kind of getting myself psyched out about this one. So a lot of Mike Newland says a lot of people that are loyal with American use their shopping portal pretty exclusively to earn loyalty points and miles. Okay, so that is a great point. So their shopping portal, I actually just signed up for shortly after I got the card. So a couple months ago, I guess a month and a half ago. And I used it to actually sign up for Pointia because they had I think it was like 25 points per dollar for signing up for the year for Pointia. So I did that. And I was surprised, like it actually works as a portal a lot better than some of these other portals. So with Rakuten, right? We're all familiar with Rakuten. You can get paid in membership rewards points. But, the vendor has to confirm it, then it goes into pending, and it can be there for a while. And then, it's, you have to wait for the payout once per quarter. Right. Whereas with this American thing, it actually kind of happens pretty quickly. Those points were added to my American Airlines account probably within a week of actually making that purchase for the Pointia thing. And that's 25 points per dollar for, I think it was almost $100 for the year for Pointia. So that was kind of insane how quickly that happened. And so I've kind of become a believer of this American portal. I think I actually might be doing it. I still check Rakuten, and I still check the Capital One offers, because those are kind of easy to use as well. But I'm finding too that like a lot of these points with American, even if it's a smaller multiplier, so if it's like, so let's say on Viator, if Rakuten has a 10x multiplier, but American has like a 9 or an 8x multiplier, I might actually still pick American, because those points really can be kind of insane. And the fact that you can't earn them or at least transfer to them from anywhere else, like that's kind of a big deal to me. So thanks for mentioning that, Mike. That shopping portal is actually pretty cool. And honestly, when I listen to the frequent miler people, I feel like I've heard them talk about that a lot in a certain way. Like they talk a lot about being able to, buy, like maybe if they're buying computers, they do it through the portal or something like that. And they rack up a lot of points that way. So thanks so much for bringing that up. I appreciate that, Mike. But yeah, let's get back to, I have so many tabs open right now. All right, let's go back to this. I got to duck between the lighting and everything. It's super fun. Okay, so we're looking at Taipei. Let's see, JFK to Hong Kong. Let's take a look at this one. I feel like this one might be yeah, this one's an Alaska one. So this is perfect. So if we want to go from JFK to Hong Kong in business class, now that's going to be quite the redemption. So we're taking a look at this one. This is flying on Finnair. So it's a 31-hour flight, trip. So this one's going to be JFK to Helsinki, and that's going to be 8 hours, 10 minutes. Okay, then you got an 11-hour layover. So you might be able to play around and find a shorter layover. But when you take a look at this Helsinki to Hong Kong, you're in lay flat business class on Finnair, which I feel like they have a pretty decent product. You are basically essentially getting 2 business class seats for 85,000 points. And again, that's $25 in taxes, folks. That's huge to me. Like, you are flying across the world from New York to Hong Kong, 85,000 points, $25 in taxes. Like, I honestly, the Alaska program just blows my mind. The fact that you can find this stuff pretty easily. This is March 4th of next year, right? But the fact that this is available now, and the fact that so there's 1 seat left on this flight, so I guess that's a bad example. But that's amazing. Thanks so much for stopping by, Anthony. I really appreciate it. Anthony is the best. Subscribe to him if you haven't been, but let's be honest, all my subscribers came from Anthony. So some of these flights are a little bit harder to find seats on. This is an Air India flight. If anyone who wants to fly on Air India, that is an option. So you actually book this through Air Canada, which is now a transfer partner of Mesa. So that's an option. Let's take a look here at this flight. So I want to keep going. JFK to Tokyo. So this one also looks like it's an American redemption. So this is actually okay. So this is Aeroplan actually. So Aeroplan, it's 87,000 points from JFK to Tokyo. 9 seats on this one. So that's kind of a big deal. Now you're doing Air India. So it's going to be Air India from what is that? JFK to, where is that? Is that Delhi? I'm not sure what that is. And then from there to Tokyo. So probably not be landing on this one, but it's a solid redemption. Nonstop Dan actually just recently did an Air India business class seat, and he was not very positive. But Nonstop Dan very rarely is positive. So, so the month of March, there are some options there, and that's kind of awesome. Let's see if there's anything in Africa. I honestly, so the more I see going to Africa, the more it just seems like an interesting idea, right? So I see a lot of people talking about those safaris and things. Let's see if there's anything that would make sense. So JFK to Marrakesh, let's take a look at this one. Again, Alaska mileage plan. So this is 45,000 points, $299, Royal Air Morocco. I really don't know what carrier that is, honestly. But it seems interesting. And then that same flight bookable through American for 57,000 points. And then Etihad, let's take a look at that. And that's also the same flight bookable through Etihad. So a bunch of different options, but a couple, one airline and then a bunch of different ways to book it. Let's take a look at Atlanta to Casablanca. So that's $15 or $5 in fees. And this one is American, 57,000 points. Okay, so American Airlines to a connector. Oh, that's changing from LaGuardia to JFK. Now that's if you wanted to do you could stay over at a hotel or something, but that's a bad stopover. I don't think I'd take that. But anyway, so Alaska has some decent options, right? You got to really start looking at essentially what's good. But there are some really good sweet spots. Being able to travel across the country, for that few of points reliably is kind of a big deal. Being able to transfer, or to fly across the Atlantic or across the Pacific even, and like do it in a meaningful way for $5-10 in fees, and then $45,000 in 45 or 85,000 points is kind of insane to me. So I'm definitely going to transfer a little bit more. I'm definitely going to make sure I have 180,000 points by the end of the day. I might do a little bit more, but anyway, thanks so much for joining me, guys. This has been really a fun conversation. Thanks so much for joining. This is my first live, so I've been able to be here for a good little bit. Thanks so much for Mike Newland for being a new subscriber. Thank you to my lovely wife, my darling angel, and thank you, of course, to Anthony for regifting. I will definitely make sure I renew my YouTube Premium on Ian's dime. So thank you so much, guys. You guys are the best. And, well, I think that's going to be it for me. So have a great day.